They were tearing up an old road to Laymore Freeway, a few miles south of Las Vegas.
The state of Nevada's Department of Highways digging would be a help to thousands of motorists. But to one other person, it would turn out to be a nightmare.
Today, I'm taking a deep dive into one of my most favorite television series growing up. It's Kolchak the Nightstalker. Kolchak the Nightstalker was an American television series that aired on ABC during the 1974-1975 season. The series followed wire service reporter Carl Kolchak, played by Darren McGavin, who investigated mysterious crimes with unlikely causes, particularly those involving the supernatural or science fiction, including fantastic creatures. That's why I love the show. The series was preceded by 2 television movies, The Night Stalker in 1972 and The Night Strangler in 1973. Although the series lasted only a single season, it rapidly achieved cult status and it remained a very popular show in syndication. Chris Carter cited Kolchak as a tremendous influence in creating the franchise The X-Files. Following that success, in 2005, the X-Files producer Frank Spotnik resurrected the series with a new cast and characters, as well as subsequent novels and comic books. The new series was a ratings bomb and was quietly canceled after only 6 of the 10 episodes produced were aired. But Kolchak the Nightstalker will always go down as one of my most favorite episodes.
Shelley Forbes.
The main character originated in an unpublished novel, The Kolchak Papers, written by J.F. Rice. In it, a Las Vegas newspaper reporter named Carl Kolchak tracks down and defeats a serial killer who turns out to be a vampire named Janos Skorzeny. Although the reporter used the name Carl, the novel reveals that his birth name is Carl with a K. After the success of the TV film and its sequel, the novel was published in 1973 by Pocket Books as a mass-market paperback, original titled The Nightstalker, with a photo of Darren McGavin on the cover to tie it into the film. Again, the second television film, The Night Strangler, was also turned into a novel. Both novels were published in 2007 by Moonstone in an omnibus edition called The Kolchak Papers. ABC approached Rice with an offer to option The Kolchak Papers, which was adapted eventually by Richard Matheson into a television movie. It was produced by Dan Curtis and directed by John Llewellyn Moxey. Darren McGavin played the role of Carl. The cast also included Carol Lindley, Simon Oakland, Ralph Meeker, Claude Akins, Charles McGraw, Kent Smith, and a cast of others. with Barry Atwater as the vampire Janos Corsini. The Night Stalker first aired January 11th, 1972 and garnered the highest ratings of any television movies at that time with a 33.2 rating, or 54 share. Madsen received a 1973 Edgar Award from the Mystery Writers of America Best TV Feature for a miniseries and teleplay. This is just a tribute to one of my most favorite series, The Night Stalker.
Next week on the CBS Late Movie, Darren McGavin.
If he's some deviant cousin of early man.
Jamie Farr guest stars as a creature runs amok on The Night Stalker. Next week on the CBS Late Movie.
The supernatural, the unexplainable.
You again is another crazy story.
This nut thinks he is a vampire.
You know what I call that? Irresponsible yellow journalism.
He has killed 4, maybe 5 women. I saw that so-called super killer wipe up the streets with your so-called police force.
They don't want any help from amateur bloodhounds like you.
I've been a reporter for 22 years.
I've been a police officer for 30.
Well, then why don't you retire?
Each man in the field is issued one of these and one of these.
Are you suggesting that we pound one of these into Scorzini's chest?
No, into his heart.
Darren McGavin,
Yeah.
as Kolchak the Nightstalker on ABC. You've done such a variety of roles, from The King and I, where you played the king, Captain Brassbound's Conversion was another one.
Or Perversion.
Right. Played Macduff in Macbeth.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't it going to be kind of dull being a newspaper reporter every week?
Oh, no, I don't think so. We're having a terrific variety of scripts coming in. And it really has to do with the kind of material that you're dealing with, really. And I like Kolchak. I like the character. Kolchak. And we have a lot of fun with it. And apparently the audience seems to like it. From the, of course, the Night Stalker and
Oh,
the
they did
Night Stalker.
very well in movies.
Enjoyed it. So we're trying to keep up that level during the coming year. I think we will.
Well, you probably can't have anything like a vampire of the week. You're going to have to come up with something else. What kind of ideas are you going to
I don't know.
26 episodes.
Oh, all kinds of things. We're working on a zombie story now, which is kind of fun. We're also working a werewolf story. We just got an outline in, which is I'm terribly excited about, which is a lady vampire, which I think is kind of fun. And I've known a few lady vampires, haven't you? I mean, really?
Have a couple of marks.
Yes.
Make believe. Anyone can spot a vampire from 30 yards.
Tell me, did Mr. Mitchell have a couple puncture marks on his throat?
But Kolchak's got to get the one disguised as a pretty girl. And she's got a way of knocking a guy off his feet if he's not careful, which can be a real pain in the neck.
The 2 victims that were killed in this apartment were killed for food by a vampire. A real one.
Darren McGavin crosses one as the Night Stalker.
Does Kolchak have a girlfriend of his own who's not a vampire in the show?
No.
Kind of a loner.
No, it's not he's a loner. It's just that part of his life takes place away from the camera. You know, we're not. Who's interested in that? You know, not really.
In Kolchak, do you ever have to say anything that you wouldn't say as Darren McGavin? And does he ever have a philosophy that you don't personally have?
Well, that goes to the heart of the matter, really, as to what is the actor and what is the character. And very often in the audience's mind, people get the two mixed up. The fact that an actor says something that he may not believe or follow, wholeheartedly with his whole entire being and self, but says it with utter, total conviction, people begin to think that he is Ronald Reagan. You know what I mean? And he's not really Ronald Reagan, even though he may claim that, let's get those, or whatever he does, with the conviction of the actor's work on it. Sure, there are certain times that an actor has to say things that he doesn't believe or he doesn't really... I mean, after all, that's the art of acting, isn't it?
Well, in Kolchak, do you believe in some of the things you do in the vampires?
I absolutely believe that there are things beyond our comprehension lying out there that we know nothing about.
In the early...
Kolchak is on the trail of 2 serial killers.
Kids are dropping dead on the campus.
We're dealing with psychotics here.
No, really. What sane person cuts out human hearts?
The police want him out of the way.
You want to take another trip in the police car, Kolchak?
And the killers want him dead.
I turned around and there was a great big red and yellow chicken.
I can dig it.
All these out-of-towners are going to get the impression that Chicago's filled with nuts.
Darren McGavin is Kolchak the Nightstalker in Demon and the Mummy. Next.
Days, when you were just starting up, did you have an idol, somebody who was a big star that you said, I like that?
Not really. I always liked myself a lot. I never...
Well, that helps an actor, I think.
Yeah, a little bit.
I just talked to one that did the very same thing, Fred Williamson.
Fred!
Yes, that's definitely his philosophy. Darren, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure meeting you.
I'm delighted.
And watching Kolchak.
Kolchak the Nightstalker, yeah. And welcome to ABC.
Thank you very much.
The Nightstalker. Next on Scream.
The best example of great horror, and it's all about story now, and that's what it's all about. It's all about story. And I will take this with me for the rest of my life. I have never come across a better story than The Nightstalker. After Dark Shadows was a huge hit, I made 2 Dark Shadows movies for MGM. And I figured, well, that's it for me, the movie business. Yeah. Television, I've done television already. I know everything there is to know about directing now. And all of that. And I got a phone call from Barry Diller one day. And he said to me, we've got this terrific film. It's a horror film. I said, oh, hold on, Barry. He said, no, we want you to direct this. You'll love this picture. I said, well, what's it called? Who wrote it? He said, Richard Matheson. Richard Matheson? Well, Richard Matheson was my favorite writer. And I mean, I thought Matheson was a genius. So I said to him, look, I'll read it, okay, just because it's Matheson. About the script, so I had notes, and I guess the notes that I gave to Dick, he started to see that perhaps this guy knew what he was talking about. So he started to soften up a little bit. Dick's memory of the meeting was, it was one of the funniest lines. He said, it's very fortunate that I didn't rip his throat out. Well, after The Nightstalker, Dick and I became very close friends, and we decided to have to do a lot of things together. Sterling screenplay went to something else, and made it up in Canada, but I always remembered Moxie. So when I had to think of a director, I thought of Moxie. Darren McGavin was my first thought for Kolchak. When I read Dick Matheson's script, Darren McGavin was the guy that jumped into my mind. He was my only thought. And we gave him the script, and he loved it.
It's time to call in the army on the Nightstalker because there's a robot on the loose, and neither the cops or a wall can stop him.
Now, I'm not sure what's going on, but I have a feeling it'll make Watergate look like a pie fight.
Look who's knocking at the Nightstalker's door. Tonight's second feature on CBS Late Night.
And Darren McGavin is the guy who truly made Kolchak.
Only this time, he was seen.
I got Elijah Cook. That came right out of the Maltese Falcon. I remembered him from the Maltese Falcon. I said, let's get that little guy in the Maltese, Elijah Cook. That's the way it happened.
I saw your car parked here, so I got in to wait for you, and I got sleepy.
You got sleepy.
Hey, I think I found the house.
Bob Cobert said to me, I think I've got the theme. I said, well, what's the theme? He said, I'll whistle it for you. I said, no. I said, no. He said, I think I got the theme. And I said, well, I want to hear it. He said, well, I've got nothing to play it on. I said, well, I got to hear it. He said, well, I'll whistle it for you. I said, okay, go ahead. He whistled the theme. I said, I love it. You're hired. And that was it. And that's how I got Bob Cobert, and I have used him on everything I've ever done. I'm a great believer in narration. John Moxey's opening, I loved it, where he shot the big close-up of the tape recorder. Once you hear that voice start, you go, oh, man, this is fantastic.
Chapter 1. This is the story behind one of the greatest manhunts in history. Maybe you read about it, or rather what they let you read about it, probably as some minor item buried somewhere on a back page.
What a great storytelling device, because it also helps you make your points and tell your story without doing a lot of stuff, without having to shoot certain things. And again, it is like background music.
This will be the last time I will ever discuss these events with anyone. So when you have finished this bizarre account, judge for yourself its believability.
When we finished The Nightstalker, nobody knew what we had. It was a little horror movie. Yeah, nobody was getting excited about it. Neither was I. I knew it was a terrific movie, but I never assumed what was going to happen was going to happen. And the first inkling that we had something really incredible on our hands.
It started as a high seas party.
This is billed as a swinging singles cruise. I want to see this ship laid bare. You know why they call it a bikini?
But a madman makes it a death cruise.
There is a werewolf on board.
The moon is full, and he's after Kolchak on The Nightstalker. Tonight's second feature on CBS Late Night. On the CBS Late Movie, a ravenous lizard is loose.
Just like the first man. These teeth marks are not those of a mammal, but of a reptile.
What do you think you got in here that's so important that somebody want to steal it? There is some kind of a strange reptilian monster out there. Well, I'll have to talk fast because it's after me.
A fiery finish for Darren McGavin as The Nightstalker.
So we knew we had a great movie in our hands, and then when I got to the ending, just wonderful. The whole closing credit sequence, that was the first time I'd ever done anything like that. And I'd come on with McGavin, a couple of quick cuts, freeze frame, Darren McGavin as Kolchak, named and on, until we got down to the final one, which is a series of fast cuts of the monster, ending up with these huge close-up of the bloodshot eyes staring into camera, and as Janos Skorzeny, Barry Atwater, and the theater went nuts. people stood up standing and screaming and pounding their hands together and shouting. Diller turns and he looks at me and he said, "We should have released this as a feature." Okay, so we knew we had a great movie on our hands, but we never ever assumed it would be the gigantic hit it was. The show ran, I don't know, it might have been on a Tuesday night. It was up against normal competition, nothing easy, and little movie. They ran promos on it, and etc. Well, something must have caught the imagination of the public. There must have been the promos, maybe some of the reviews that they read. But it must have caught their imagination. And when the next day, when the overnights came in, I got this phone call. I don't remember who it was who called me. He said, "We got a 54 share." At that point, the highest rated television movie was Brian's Song, and we blew it out of the water. Nobody could believe it. It broke all the records. Back in the 70s, when the first television movies started to be made, you know, they were 90 minutes, most of them at the beginning. The Nightstalker was a 90-minute picture. We shot it for $450,000 in 12 days, you know. Give you some idea of what happened in those days. But it was fun, because the way you made a television movie in those days and the way you got one sold, totally different from today.
On the CBS Late Movie, a double feature. Darren McGavin stars as Kolchak, the Nightstalker. Followed by tonight's second feature on the CBS Late Movie. And now, Darren McGavin in The Nightstalker.
Until it ends up as absolute garbage. Everything. In those days, we had fun. The Great Ice ripoff, the Norliss tapes, any kind of crazy little movie that we came up with. And you got these different stories, these quirky little stories, fun stories. They didn't have to be an event. They just had to be entertaining, fun, good, scary, dramatic, whatever. And we made them fast and we made them cheap, and it was a great period of time.
So that's it. The book's finished. And now you'll have to judge for yourself. I must warn you, however, if you try to verify this account, you will find it quite impossible. Item: in Washington, D.C., there was no longer a file listing the suspect under his true name or any of his alleged aliases. Item: in Las Vegas, all of those who were involved have either left town, aren't talking, or are dead. I haven't had a decent night's sleep since all this happened. And now you might find it difficult too, because there is still one fact that cannot be buried. After the death of Janos Skorzeny, he and all of his victims were immediately cremated. Why?
They move among us, cursed with an eternal bloodlust. Friday, cross the threshold between the living and the dead.
Dark thoughts, evil plans.
In a Kolchak double feature. Then, beginning Monday, immortality is theirs to behold.
See before you a man who lived for centuries.
Killing 4 nights of classic fear, the legacy of Dracula. As Bloodlust continues next on the Sci-Fi Channel.